Mate, you guys are killing me. I don't know how much more. Anyone's got a thesaurus for a word that I can use for no? No. Did you ask anyone else that?
Please take your seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim and Chris. On today's Wimbledon Day 10 catch-up.
Ruthless Rybakina swats away Svitolina.
Cool Krejčíková battles past Ostapenko.
And Musetti is through to face Djokovic as Alex de Minaur withdraws.
Kim, today is the 10th of July and we are here to catch up on day 10 at Wimbledon at Tennis Weekly HQ. Our semi-final lineup is complete with Elena Rybakina, Barbora, Krejčíková, Novak Djokovic and Lorenzo Musetti all making the cut. Today we saw Rybakina live up to the billing as the bookies' favourite, whilst Barbora Krejčíková reminded us all of her Grand Slam credentials. And Kim, when one Italian fails, you can always count on another to deliver, as Lorenzo Musetti dispatched Taylor Fritz to set up a semi-final showdown with Novak Djokovic, who was given a walkover due to an Alex de Minaur hip injury. Kim, lots of box office news today. A bombshell statement from Alex de Minaur to kick off the day. But I feel, personally to me, the biggest news has been the fact there has been no rain. It's been sunlight all day. We've had a full slate of matches.
You've had your sunnies out on centre court, Joel, looking very dapper.
It wasn't quite factor 50 level of sunlight, but it was just nice to have the roof open.
Yeah, and I mean, you still need a bit of SPF though, I would say, even if it's, doesn't feel super hot. I know if Chris was listening, he would definitely be on at you for that.
It was like when I sort of looked up and saw that there was no roof on, my eyes had to recalibrate for like a good 10 seconds, I feel, to the fact that, natural light was shining in onto the court on centre court.
It's not a casino in Vegas anymore, is it?
No,
You're
not
out
anymore.
on the strip in
not
the heat
anymore.
of the day.
Yeah, I can actually see the outside from the inside.
Well, let's hope it lasts, because it would be nice to, as we go into the final 4 days of the tournament, for us to have the sun shining out on the centre court and court one. And today, well, let's start with the match that you were at, Rybakina against Svitolina. Number 4 seed, Elena Rybakina, former champion, of course, from 2 years ago.
My pick as well.
Your pick, yes, can't forget that. But she's still going through strongly. 6-3, 6-2 over Elina Svitolina. Quite a, dare I say it, bog standard victory today, Joel.
Yes. I at the beginning of the day, I really was torn between which match should I watch. Should I watch Rybakina Svitolina or should I watch Ostapenko versus Krejickova? And I'm not going to like him. I feel like I chose poorly. It's like that scene in Indiana Jones when he's at the Holy Grail and he's got to pick a cup. And I feel like I picked the wrong cup today, because Rybakina, she was imperious. 28 winners, 6-3, 6-2. It just felt like Svitolina, she was competitive at the beginning, but she just wasn't able to sustain it for too long. She just wasn't able to sustain it throughout the whole match ultimately.
Yeah, 61 minutes is all it took.
Yeah.
So you did choose the shorter of the matches, I think, Joel. But Rybakina, I mean, she has a really incredible win rate at Wimbledon. She's currently at 90.4% in terms of her win rate, because she made her debut here in 2021, obviously won the title 2022, quarterfinals last year, now into the semi-finals. And funnily enough, that's the third best win percentage at Wimbledon in the whole of the Open era. On the women's side. Do you want to guess who might have a better win percentage at Wimbledon?
Surely Steffi Graf is up there. That's all
Correct.
That's all I can think of. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, 91.4% for Steffi Graf. She won 74 matches, lost 7. The other one, funnily enough, is Anne Jones, who's got a 92.3% win rate, but she only won 12 and lost 1, so it seemed like she only played, 2 or 3 Wimbledons there, interestingly enough. But yes, Rybakina going strong for sure. As you said, 28 winners. I mean, with this performance that you saw today, do you think she is still out of the 4 ladies left in the draw, that the hands down favourite for the title?
I mean, she's the only one, with a Grand Slam Wimbledon title to her name. So I feel like with that in your locker or in your trophy cabinet, you've got to be. And, she was asked about this and the fact that, does it add any pressure? Does it change things? And she felt like the press were making more of a deal of it than she does. She's just taking it one match at a time. And I'm not going to lie, when I was watching, this match, some of the other matches she's played as well, which have been, again, very one-sided, it just feels like the match is on her racket. Her game is so suited to grass. Big serve, she's returning well as well. Big ground strokes. It just feels very, very well suited, and it's just going to take something. At the moment, it feels it's going to have to take something out of the ordinary to stop her.
Yeah, well, we can hear from her now because she was asked in press about, the effectiveness of her game throughout this tournament.
I think staying really aggressive from the first shots, and definitely I think my return improved, return games, and the serve is helping, even though today maybe not as high percentage, but in important moments I served it out, so...
I do think, when you think Rybakina, you think her, her big serve, her big ground strokes. So to hear her talk about her return as an element that she is looking to improve, it just shows that she's always wanting to kind of, look to be better. And, today, I think, again, her return to Svitolina, it was just too good. I think with grass courts, the surface, it makes that contact point a little bit trickier to manage versus like maybe a slow clay court or even a hard court where, you can predict the bounce, I think, a little bit more. But certainly Rybakina's game feels, as I say, almost kind of complete at the moment. She's not just having to rely on one or two weapons. Everything is working in sync with each other.
Yeah, and just a note on Svitolina, it feels like we've seen better from her this tournament. So, I mean, what wasn't she doing so well today? Or was it just the fact that her opponent was outclassing her on, pretty much every point?
Yeah, it was a shame because I do think we have seen, better tennis from her, this week. I mean, the fact that she was serving 70% first serves in, she was serving well, but Rybakina's return game was just too much for her. And it just didn't feel like she was able to get on the front foot as much as she needed to. She was putting back too many balls that were almost gimmies for Rybakina just to hit a clean winner, double-handed backhands down the line. She hit a lovely double-handed backhand cross-court winner in the first set. And I just feel like there were too many rally balls from her that were just ready for the Rybakina strike zone.
Yeah, just not being the real aggressor or really being the driving force.
But it's so hard. It's so hard, I think, though, when Rybakina plays such an aggressive brand of tennis, arguably the most aggressive game on the court at the moment. That is in full form. How do you up that?
You just have to hope she misses, really, but that's not a good tactic because that's out of your control, isn't it? I mean, Rybakina will be facing Barbora Krejčíková in the semi-final, who won through against Jelena Ostapenko today in straight sets, 6-4, 7-6. Although that second set was a bit up and down, Ostapenko going 4-1 up, then Krejčíková trying to serve it out
Kim,
5-4.
At that moment at 4-1, I was like, I should have picked that court to go to.
Yes, you thought, I'm on for a 3-setter here, but not to be. Although, slightly more tennis. 40 minutes longer that match was. But Krejčíková coming through, getting to the last four here for the first time, and actually only the second time she's got to a Grand Slam semi-final in the singles. Anyway, obviously the last time she got to a semi-final of a Grand Slam, she went all the way to win that Grand Slam, which was the French Open in 2021. I mean, this was very much the matchup of the one-time Roland Garros champions, wasn't it? Because obviously Ostapenko won that title in 2017, and we had thought that Ostapenko, she was in great form, only dropped 15 games en route to this stage, but Krejčíková getting the win. Do you think it's just the way she played was totally different to what Ostapenko had maybe faced so far this fortnight?
I think Krejčíková, what she did really well was just exploit the unpredictability, I think, of Ostapenko's game, or the lack of consistency thereof. I think, just going back to Rybakina, she looks like she's in control when she hits these crunching ground strokes from the baseline, and more often than not at the moment, she's hitting winners. Whereas I feel like with Ostapenko, she plays with a much lower margin, similar brand of tennis, but a lower margin. And Krejčíková was just able to exploit that today. She has a lot of variety. She was moving Ostapenko, around the court. She didn't even really come into the net that much, but she just, I think, disrupted Ostapenko's game enough that it put her off. And as a result, when it was, a few matches before when it felt like she was just hitting winners for fun, today it was that Ostapenko of just hitting lots and lots of unforced errors. I mean, 34 unforced errors to just 16 winners. That's the stat you're always looking at. And Ostapenko needed to keep that considerably down a lot more.
I thought also Krejčíková served exceptionally well today, and that seemed to be a big bonus for her, from what I saw, and especially in that first set to really kind of set the tone. But yeah, I mean, I guess Chris often predicts Krejčíková, us less so. It does feel like she's sprung a bit of a surprise again, like she did, in 2021 Roland Garros. I think she sort of thrives when maybe she's not up at the higher echelons of the game, and we're not talking about her so much. And yeah, it'd be an intriguing encounter, her and Rybakina in the semi-final. I mean, Krejčíková actually leads their head-to-head 2-love, but they were both very close matches, and they haven't played since 2022. So
Ostrava.
No recent form. Yeah, Ostrava out in the Czech Republic. Although Krejčíková had lost the last 3 matches she'd played against Ostapenko, so I think you can't really go too much on the head-to-head, perhaps, with the way she's playing this fortnight. But I mean, are we going to make some tentative predictions for tomorrow's semi-final, Joel?
Oh, let's leave them towards the end. But I certainly think that with this matchup, it's going to be, Krejčíková, I think, is going to face, as I say, a similar brand of tennis that she faced in Ostapenko, but she's going to have to expect a lot more balls, I think, to come back. She can't just rely on the unforced error count, I think, to get her 3 points. And I think she's going to have to watch out on the the Rybakina return and really think about her serve placement to get Rybakina moving. Because again, I don't think Svitolina did that enough. Because if there's one thing potentially that you could exploit, I think, in Rybakina's game, is getting her to move, from side to side, up and down the court. And I think Krejčíková has the tools to do that a lot more than I think Svitolina was trying to execute in today's match.
Yeah, I do think it will be a closer affair, and I think it will go 3 sets, but I'm going to mull on it as we go into the second half, and we'll give our predictions for tomorrow's show court action later on. We are going to take a quick break now, but do join us in the second half, where we'll be taking a look at the men's quarterfinal action from day 10, including Lorenzo Musetti securing his debut Grand Slam semi-final, and Alex de Minaur sadly having to withdraw with a hip injury. So do not go anywhere.
Well, for sure. I mean, top 5. It's a great serve that she has. I feel like Serena as well. Was unbelievable server. I think Elena is someone that also returns quite good, especially on grass. I mean, grass is such a difficult surface already to return, and then when you have someone who hits the spots good, it's extremely difficult.
Well, that was Elina Svitolina praising Elena Rybakina's serve, saying it's one in the top 5 of servers she has faced. And
big compliment.
She found it very difficult today, as we discussed. So yeah, big compliment. Given Svitolina's been on the tour for a long time and obviously faced a lot of servers. So some nice compliments there.
If there's one shot you want to be like your best shot, it's your serve. And to Rybakina's credit, it's fit and it's firing. Yes, maybe today it was a bit lower on the percentage side, but if she can have that working against Krejčíková is going to have a handful in terms of trying to break Rybakina's serve.
her work will be cut out for her for sure. I mean, let's look at the men's action. We only had one men's singles quarterfinal today, sadly, because of Alex de Minaur, which we'll get on to in a bit later. But the match we did have, I mean, it did go to 5 sets, so we did have, I guess, better value for money, shall we say, or the fans there, only getting the one men's quarterfinal today, but very disappointing for, I think, the centre court crowd, especially when they didn't get the Djokovic de Minaur match. But Lorenzo Musetti, Queen's finalist, translating that form onto the Wimbledon courts, reaching the semi-finals here, beating Taylor Fritz in 5 sets. Another Italian.
We all thought, Kim, the Italian we all thought, was going to get to the semi-finals. It's happened, obviously.
We do have an Italian in the semi-finals. It's just not Jannik Sinner. But it does mean that Italy have a semi-finalist in each, of the 2 singles draws with Jasmine Paolini, of course, in the women's side. But Lorenzo Musetti, I mean, we knew at some point he was bound to perhaps break through, go deep at a slam. Would we have thought it was going to be Wimbledon, I ask you, Joel?
No, I don't think so. I think, this similar maybe to Jasmine Paolini, fellow Italian, that this sort of form, has come out of nowhere. Yes, he did well at Queen's, but I still think there were question marks over his mentality for, the best of 5 set game. And I think, at times that was on show in the match against Fritz. But again, I feel like exploited all of Fritz's weaknesses, particularly nullifying that big serve that Taylor Fritz has. He's got a great block shot, I think, on the return. His slicing as well, mixing it up with his variety. Taylor Fritz in that 5th set, I don't necessarily think he was knackered or anything. I don't think there was a physical issue there. I just think he sort of ran out of ideas. He didn't really know how to solve the Musetti problems that were coming across the net from him.
Yeah, it's 6-1 in that last set, very one-sided. Musetti went 5-love up. I mean, if the crowd were hoping for a dramatic finish to the match, it really particularly wasn't in terms of the scoreline, which is perhaps the more surprising element. But yeah, just outfoxing Taylor Fritz really.
It's quite refreshing actually, because with grass, we talk about, as I say, I feel like it's the surface where if you do have a big weapon like a big serve or a big +1 shot like a big forehand, it can take you places. We've spoken about that in the past with, for example, Matteo Berrettini, Pete Sampras, cornerstone of all his Wimbledon, championships based on, his great serve and volley approach. But with Musetti, I feel like he's got that variety that we don't necessarily jump to and think about could work on a grass court. And to me, it's almost a little bit refreshing to see actually, there's this different brand of tennis where you can outfox opponents and think about it more tactically and more cunningly. And it's not just kind of brute force instruments to get you over the line.
Yeah, a more wily, clever opponent, using that slice as well, which was really causing problems for Taylor Fritz, who will be, sad to have not made it through to the semi-finals. He'd won Eastbourne, he was in good form, but yeah, just beaten by the better player today. And Lorenzo Musetti showing the strength and depth of Italian tennis at the moment by coming through to his maiden semi-final. He will be facing a very fresh Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals come Friday, because he didn't even have to play a quarter-final today. Alex de Minaur withdrawing because of a hip injury ahead of their play. We heard that news this morning. Alex de Minaur saying he's absolutely devastated. It was the biggest match of his career. Actually, in fact, let's hear from Alex de Minaur now.
Well, it's no secret that at this stage of my career was the biggest match of my career, right? So wanted to do anything I could to play. I got the results yesterday. I knew what the results were yesterday, but I still wanted to wake up today hoping that I would feel some sort of miracle and not feel it whilst I'm walking, right? The problem with me going out and playing is that one stretch, one slide, one anything can make this injury go from 3 to 6 weeks to 4 months. So it was too much to risk.
So that was Alex de Minaur talking about the injury and why he's had to, withdraw from the tournament. And it does go back to that end point of the match against Arthur Fils. He's had a scan and
heartbreaking.
He knew. It sounds like he almost knew what like he said, like he knew what the results were going to be and had that feeling. And he's got to make that decision.
He was hoping. I mean, he said that he was hoping. He was going to sleep, hoping for a miracle to happen overnight, and that miracle did not arrive, sadly. And it is upsetting because he speaks so passionately about Wimbledon. The fact that this, to him was the biggest match of his career. The fact that he wasn't able to step out on court for that, it just shows what this tournament does mean to him. He's been playing some great tennis recently. You just got to feel for him in terms of the fact that he felt like he was playing well, and I would have loved to have seen how far he could have pushed Novak Djokovic. We've seen Novak Djokovic at times be put under examination, but you really felt with Alex de Minaur the way he has been playing, and also the fact that de Minaur had a victory over him at the very start of this season and really pushed him in Monte Carlo, where arguably he should have got the job done. He probably would have provided the stiffest test yet, I think, for how Djokovic is playing with this coming back from that injury.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of a test he would have been. I was really impressed with Djokovic's form against Rune, and so because of that, I was kind of expecting it to be a regulation win actually for Djokovic. However, the Alex de Minaur this year has been slightly different and improved on previous Alex de Minaurs, I suppose. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh there. But I mean, it can sometimes actually be a detriment not to play your quarterfinal, to be fair. You can be a bit rusty, perhaps. You've gone that extra day without a match. So, but I do feel that given Djokovic's recent surgery, he'll probably be glad of the extra rest and his age. Do you think it will feel like a bit of a bonus for him, a bit of a gift?
I think so. I think the fact that he's gonna have had more rest and relaxation time, the fact also that Lorenzo Musetti's played a 5-set match, I think is all going to count in his favour. And it's just funny how tennis works and how sport works. I think where Djokovic would before the start of the season he was talking about his ambitions and wanted to win everything and all the Grand Slams, Olympic gold, etc. And it's taken an injury and, to almost kind of be the reset I think he's needed. And from there, he's just kind of kicked on because I'm not going to like him. I mean, I think you're a bit different, but I was not expecting to see him reach the semi-finals given, that injury that he suffered at the French Open and the sort of recovery that he's put in, the lack of any sort of preparation. It is sort of unbelievable at times to think where he is right now given where he was like a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, it is a remarkable. We almost discounted him from actually playing this tournament, I think, initially when we heard he was having surgery. So just think where he was, almost just over a month ago. I mean, it's a shame for the fans on centre court, as we alluded to earlier. They got literally like an hour of tennis that they were expecting. But they have put on, they did put on a mixed doubles. They had Joe Salisbury and Heather Watson, who sadly lost. They put invitation doubles on after that. So they got to see Ash Barty, a Wimbledon champion. But it's still a bit gutting if, expecting to go seeing, Novak Djokovic. Real shame for the fans. But I mean, there's not really much you can do in this sport. We've seen a lot of retirements this tournament, some walkovers as well. And it's a real shame. But
do you think they could have a refund policy or no? Because I would say that these tickets, people are shelling out big money for these tickets in terms of like expecting to see singles quarterfinals action, and the fact that they got 61 minutes of that today, to me, I'm like, I don't personally think that's enough. And yes, it's great that there's been some doubles matches put on, and I'm a big advocate for doubles, and there's been some fantastic doubles matches on centre court today, but I feel like these fans, they're not paying the big bucks to for these doubles matches.
Invitational doubles.
They want to see the singles showpieces, and to me, I do wonder whether there should be a consideration at the very least on, I guess, maybe minutes of play not necessarily affected by rain, because as I say, I feel like the mood on the court at the time, it just felt a little bit like, oh, is that it, in terms of the singles action.
There is a separate rain policy, but yeah, I see what you mean. I guess it's when you get those tickets, it's for the court, not a particular match, isn't it? So it is harder. It's like, how much value would you put on this particular match? How much should we refund people?
I mean, some people were talking about whether they should have moved Fritz versus Musetti and upgraded that to centre court. Do you think that would have been a move, or do you think that would have just antagonised and upset all the court one ticket holders?
Yeah, I think it would have antagonised and upset them, although they would have probably paid, I think, slightly less. You always pay sort of like £10-15 less for court one. I think
just luck of the draw.
I think it's luck of the draw. You've got to just accept that if you get tickets, that it could be like that. I mean, normally tennis is great value, I think, and obviously tickets are expensive, but you often get hours and hours and hours, a whole day of play. Definitely. As opposed to like a football match where it's normally 90 minutes, so you do tend to get more bang for your buck at tennis. But we don't want to end on a negative note, do we, Joel? Because obviously talking about refunds and retirements, there's a bit of romance in the air as well. And actually, Djokovic probably really appreciated not having to play.
Time off, yeah.
Because he's used his time off nicely to write a poem to celebrate his and his wife's 10-year wedding anniversary. He wrote Jelena Djokovic a very beautiful poem and put that on social media.
Kim, I'm gonna, I've got to recite the poem. I feel like it's too good not to. I'm gonna do this quickly. 10 years of joy, 10 years of dreams, 10 years of islands, 10 years at streams, 10 years as parents, 10 years as one, 10 years of dancing, 10 years of fun, 10 years of yoga, 10 years we stretch, 10 years of dogs, 10 years go fetch. 10 years of flying, 10 years at sea, 10 years of you, the best part of me, 10 years of tennis, 10 years of balls, 10 years of triumph, 10 years of falls, 10 years as teammates, 10 years together, 10 years, Jelena, I love you forever. I love you. What a nice poem that is.
Isn't that so sweet? I love that. I especially love the 10 years of yoga.
Did he come up with that himself? That's the big question.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I mean, I like the rhyming pattern, I have to say.
Did you enjoy me serenading you with it?
It was interesting. I mean,
it was different. Yeah,
it was different. I was wondering if you'd get a deal on like CBBS or to read out the kids' bedtime stories, perhaps with your soothing poetic
Maybe I
voice.
need to create some sort of poem for our next yearly anniversary. I don't even know when that is, but maybe I'll have to take Djokovic's poem as inspiration.
I actually won a copy of Rafa's autobiography once because I wrote a poem.
Did it include
about
you wrote
Rafa
a poem
or something?
Okay.
I can't remember. I don't have a copy of it, but I actually won the competition. Yeah. So maybe we'll have to do a Tennis Weekly poetry competition at some point, or you can don us a poem for our 500th episode. We've already gone past 400. But yes, I did like that little interlude there. Thank you very much, Joel. But let's talk about Djokovic and his tennis, because he does have the semi-final on Friday against Musetti. Djokovic leads their head-to-head 5-1, so quite overwhelming in his favour. But they have played twice at a Grand Slam. Both of those matches went to 5 sets, including recently at Roland Garros in the third round, I believe it was. So what are we thinking for Friday? Do we think it's going to be another 5-setter? Or do you think, Musetti, first time semi-finalist, is he going to get very edgy?
You just feel that with Djokovic, something is happening. Something is in the air at the moment. So,
love is in the air.
Yeah, love is in the air, but I think also his tennis is coming together. And he's been afforded the opportunity to kind of build into it. And I just can't look past Djokovic at the moment now.
They've never played on grass either. Both of their slam matches were at Roland Garros, including that time when Musetti was 2-0 up and then retired, I think, with, like 2 games to go. But that was a good 3 years ago now. Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be one-way traffic, I think. Not to give Musetti his due. I can't see Djokovic, who will be well rested at this, on this court that he loves. Seems to be feeling happy in life and love. I think it's on him. I do. And let's have a look at the ladies semi-finals then for tomorrow. On centre court, let's hope they both happen. Jasmine Paolini against Donna Vekic and Elena Rybakina against Barbora Krejčíková. So, Joel, here it is. Prediction moments. Right. Paolini Vekic.
Paolini in 2.
Okay, I'm going to go Paolini in 3.
Okay.
But I do think Paolini's got the force.
Yeah.
And Rybakina Krejčíková.
Rybakina in 3. I think we're set for a Paolini Rybakina final.
Yeah, I do agree. I think it's going to be 3 sets as well. I think 2 3-setters tomorrow. Paolini Rybakina, the higher of the seeds out of those two. We'll leave our final predictions till later. Yes.
We shall see. Let's just hope we get 2 complete matches tomorrow, I think, for ladies semi-finals, and that the roof staves off. I think that's the main thing we want to see. So yes, looking forward to both of those matches. Listeners, I hope you've enjoyed our latest episode of the Tennis Weekly podcast. Remember to subscribe to us to stay up to date on all the action still to come from Wimbledon. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcasting platforms out there. And if you like what you're hearing, then make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
You can also follow us on social media or email the show. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube and X. At Tennis Weekly Pod is our handle. You can also purchase Tennis Weekly merch at etsy.com/shop/Tennis Weekly Podcast. You can email the show as well, tennisweeklypod@gmail.com. And don't forget to also check out our website, tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we will be back tomorrow from Wimbledon at Tennis Weekly HQ for our Day 11 catch-up. So I hope you can join us for that. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. We'll see you again soon.